Welcome to the Just Third Way podcast, where we ask the question, would you rather own or be owned? Brought to you by the Center for Economic and Social Justice at cesj.org.
She maxed the credit cards and don't got a job. She pays for gas with all the change in her car. It's not the end of the road. Yeah, we've all been there before. And it goes, oh, 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 oh. He's walking home 'cause he can't pay for the bus. He needs $1, but he ain't got enough. It's not the end of the world. Yeah, we've all been there before. And it goes, oh, 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 oh. Hey, everybody, we don't have to live this way. We can all get some. Yeah, we can all get paid. So what you say, everybody? Gotta live it up today. We can all get some. Yeah, we can all get paid.
Hey, everybody. Well, yes, I am greeting you, podcast listeners, but that is also the name of the song we just heard. Hey, everybody. And the name of the group is 5 Seconds of Summer. And I've got a guest today, my son, Luke. Hi, Luke.
Hi.
And Luke has introduced me to the world of music on YouTube. I think just about every song that's ever been is on there in one form or another. And I guess one of his hobbies is listening to and making, what do they call them, mashups?
Oh yeah, but well, I listened to them. I tried making them, but that's not what we're here for.
Right. But I enjoyed that one mashup that you did make, and I'm sure you'll make some more in the future. But it's really a good format for sharing. In fact, I was reading somewhere that YouTube is the #1 social site, even though people don't think of it that way. You got a lot of people who interact with their friends on Twitter and then another group on Facebook, but they all kind of come together on YouTube, even though it may not be your main source of like close friend interaction. I think it's a tool that we can use to promote the Just Third Way because, like I say, even though many people use different things, they do all sort of come together on YouTube. I'm sure you've noticed that, huh, Luke? 'Cause a lot of people use different things, but sooner or later they all use YouTube also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a real good opportunity. So what I've done is I've made a playlist, and the playlist has songs kind of like this that talk about money or injustices in the system. And I've named the playlist JTW space evocative. And that is obviously for the Just Third Way and music that is evocative of our message. And so you can actually go to YouTube and search for that string there, JTW space evocative, and it will find my playlist, and you
Yep,
can
first thing that
enjoy.
comes up.
Yeah, good. And so you can listen to, right now I've got like 50 different songs on there. And I would invite anyone to email me some suggestions that we could add to that list. And just email me at rdhamill@gmail.com. That's HAMILL, and the RD like Robert David. And just shoot me any suggestions because I kind of get stuck on one or two genres, I guess, like sort of, I don't know, alt rock and Christian rock is my thing. And of course, I have a little bit of country music preferences. And Luke listens to more pop music, and he's introduced me to one, and I'll play for you here in a minute. Would you say you're mostly into pop music, Luke?
I would say pop and punk.
Yeah, that's true. As a matter of fact, I think that's our next genre that we're going to talk about is I'll put these in an order. I'm not playing all 50 on the playlist, But I'm going to call this our top 20 Just Third Way evocative songs. And it's not the official CESJ ranking of songs, but it's my rankings as the host of the podcast. And our next one here is Green Day, Holiday.
Throwback.
Yeah. Know the song, right?
Yes, I was not mouthing the words along with it at all, I promise.
I was going to say, I was doing the little air guitar thing, and our dog Bella was looking at me like I was having some kind of seizure or something. But anyway, the reason I had that song, not only is Green Day one of Luke's favorite groups, is that right?
Yeah. That's probably my second favorite.
Oh, okay. I added it because of the line, I beg to dream and differ from the hollow lies. This is the dawning of the rest of our lives. But I don't know what's in the heart of these guys who are singing this song, but that particular line right there is special to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any other meanings in that song that you think about? I mean, whether it's related to what we're doing or not.
Not really. I haven't listened to that song in forever. I haven't listened to Green Day in a while.
So your number one favorite is Paramore, right?
Yes, I am an avid Paramore fan.
Well, we got some of their stuff coming later too. But right now, that was number 19 on the countdown. And let's move on to number 18, which is a classic. And it's by a country artist who knows something about income extremes. He grew up poor and he made it big. Johnny Cash. And it is Man in Black.
Well, you wonder why I always dress in black, why you never see bright colors on my back, and why does my appearance seem to have a somber tone? Well, there's a reason for the things that I have on. I wear the black for the poor and the beaten down, living in the hopeless, hungry side of town. I wear it for the prisoner who has long paid for his crime, but is there because he's a victim of the times. I wear the black for those who've never read or listened to the words that Jesus said about the road to happiness through love and charity. Why, you think he's talking straight to you and me? Well, we're doing mighty fine, I do suppose, in our streak of lightning cars and fancy clothes. But just so we're reminded of the ones who are held back, up front there ought to be a man in black.
I thought some of the music I listened to was depressing, but no, that had some really depressing lyrics. Like, that was real.
Yeah, it really is. And a lot of his songs are like that. They talk about some pretty sad realities in society. It's funny, when I was interviewing a documentary filmmaker named Joyce Hart, she was saying that the founder of binary economics, Louis Kelso, got his inspiration as a young kid. I guess he was living in Colorado and he saw these trains come by, and it was during the Depression. And they had these fancy, meal cars and sleeper cars where all the rich people could, eat at nice tables with servants and things, but they were empty. And then they had like a freight car on the back of the train, and all these like poor people had jumped on to get a ride to where they're going in a boxcar, So, he was like, something's wrong here, And Johnny Cash has a song, Folsom Prison, where he talks about hearing a train go by, and he says, he wishes he was out of prison so he could ride on that train, because he's sure there's rich people on the train that are drinking coffee and smoking cigars and stuff like that. But it's kind of a similar sentiment. He was, I guess, wanting to be part of the rich people on there, and also probably wanted everyone to be living like a rich person. So he tried to come up with an economic system that might allow that, although it wouldn't necessarily, equalize all incomes. It would give more people an opportunity to enjoy the finer things in life, hopefully. So,
Yeah.
Any more commentary about Johnny, or should we move on to number 17?
Did he do I Walk the Line?
Yes, he did. That's right.
Okay, well, I think another artist that might be on this list, I don't know, you had mentioned it, Halsey on her album Badlands. I know we're using one of her songs from that album. She did a cover of I Walk the Line.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I'll have to check that out. It might be
Yep.
worth adding to the list, but then again, that's more about
That's more relationship stuff.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
a
I thought
romantic
it was
relationship.
interesting that another artist on this list had done a cover of one of his songs, since he's on here too.
That's right. That's right. All right, so let's move on to number 17, and that is My Chemical Romance, what you call
MCR.
MCR. That's what I've heard everybody call them. But I've always liked this song. It's number 37 on our playlist. So I'm going to play a few seconds of that. Roll it.
Emo tears. Brace yourselves, guys. Brace yourselves. The G note. The G note.
When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. He said, son, when you grow up, would you be the savior of the broken, the beaten, and the damned? He said, will you defeat them, your demons, and all the non-believers, the plans that they have made? Because one day I'll leave you a phantom to lead you in the summer to join the Black Parade. You
Okay, so that was My Chemical Romance. Luke calls MCR, and welcome to the Black Parade. And I was going to say, I found that you can have a broadcast about songs if you just play a clip of them, and you do so in a critical tone, and you're talking about the music, critiquing it, or ranking it. So that's what we're trying to do, is just play a clip of whatever part of the song relates to what we're talking about. So that's why we're doing this in this format. That's one I'd kind of like to hear the whole thing, though. How about you, Luke?
Yeah, I love the dramatic intro that sort of he talks about demons and non-believers, and then there's like that pause after the little intro, and then it like starts turning into a punk song. It's
Right. Yep. And that's kind of why I think about, some of the members of CESJ and the Just Third Way and widespread ownership movement that, we've come together and tried to have, functions and rallies and things like that. It's almost like that's the Black Parade, So, it's funny. Who knows what they really mean, but, it's all about what a song means to you personally. So that's kind of something I think about. But then we have one that's number 16 on the list. I've got 1,000-Foot Crutch next, Light Up the Sky. And that's kind of motivating people to do something radical or make a change. So let's roll that.
Nowhere else have I seen such lines led by lambs. So if you're not afraid of it, stand up and take my hand. We got a battle up front, but beyond that's the promised land. And when we all shout together, man, believe me, they'll understand. Nowhere else have I seen such lines led by lambs. So if you're not afraid of it, stand up and take my hand. Watch me light. We got a battle up front, but beyond that's the promised land. And when we all shout together, man, believe me, they'll understand. I blaze a trail like the rays from tail light sound, shaking the ground like earthquakes and hail might. Someday I'll die, but not tonight. Excuse me while I light up the sky.
Nowhere else have I seen lions led by lambs. I think that's a very strong statement to Christians. I think associate themselves with almost like Jesus is the lion, so we're the lions. And it is kind of ironic that we have these sinners, people that are corrupt, that we put at the top of society. So it's like the lions are led by the lambs. Is that what you kind of get out of it, Luke?
yeah.
Yeah, so that's a very strong statement. I really like that song. It motivates me to try to make people realize that, we're the strong ones. We're the ones who get out there and work hard and raise our kids and fight through all the daily difficulties and everything. So we need to stand up and assert ourselves and set up a system that's fair for all of us. That's about all I know to say about that one. Next, we have one of your favorites. I'll go ahead and say there's some of these songs that have some parts that, I wouldn't have written or even included,
Yeah.
but they all have a line or two that really make you think. And this one is one of them. Let's roll New Americana by Halsey, which is track
I would like to give a disclaimer. Like we just said, there are some things in here that we don't really condone. This song was mainly written about a lot of the government's decisions that were legalized during like the summer of 2015.
Oh, okay.
So that's where the inspiration for this song comes from.
Cigarettes in tiny liquor bottles, just what you'd expect inside her new Balenciaga. Viral mess turned dreams into an empire, self-made success. Now she rolls with Rockefellers. Survival of the richest, the city's ours until the fall. They're Monaco and Hamptons bound, but we don't feel like outsiders at all. We are the new Americana, high on legal marijuana, raised on Biggie and Nirvana. We are the new Americana.
I don't guess we'll go into the James Dean part.
Yeah.
So that first verse is really interesting to me. I don't know what's in her heart and what she's trying to say, but to me, if it was me saying that, it would be that, okay, someone becomes successful, and then let's say that they start to socialize with the super rich. I mean, I'm sure some of them have their vices, whether it's, drinking, smoking, whatever. But
Yeah.
the important part to me is where she says that girl who made success for herself is, rolling with the Rockefellers or whoever. And then they go away during the summer to the Hamptons or Monaco, and we have the city to ourselves, but we don't feel like outsiders. I think that's kind of a statement. It's like, yeah, there's this super rich class that, some of us are able to work our way up to and join and everything. And it's almost like, we're happy for them. It's just a part of the way things are and stuff like that. And I think that's a sort of an apathy where she says we don't feel like outsiders at all. It's like she's apathetic to the fact that, yeah, a few people can find that kind of success and join that group, but it's okay that a lot of us can't, sort of. You know what I'm saying? Do you kind of get that, or
Yeah.
do you feel? Yeah, okay. That's one reason I put that. It's a song that makes you think about that situation, And then she goes into the typical youth of today are high on legal marijuana and listening to sort
Yeah.
of rebellious music. I don't know that much about, I guess, Biggie. That's Biggie Smalls or something.
Yeah.
And I know a little bit about Nirvana. I mean, that was kind of the end of my rock and roll era. But I know it's very rebellious. I don't know that much about the Biggie. Do you?
Not really. I never listened to Biggie or Nirvana that much.
Right. I think, generally she's saying people were raised on very rebellious kind of stuff. Maybe it's a bit of an anarchy sentiment to the song. And there are a lot of kids now that, even though a lot of them are in favor of socialism and stuff like that, there are some who are very anti-government and, anarchists. Some of them call themselves libertarians. So I don't even know if kids your age actually. Luke's just graduated high school. Congratulations. Do any of your friends actually talk about anarchy, libertarianism, anything like that?
Not really.
They just don't care yet. When they get out and really start trying to earn a living for about 5 or 10 years, that's when they'll start formulating some strong opinions. I know I didn't care when I was 18, 19, It's
Yeah.
just all I cared about was getting out and being part of the system. And I just assumed that money was real and all the things that I've learned later to be sort of a joke. Anyway, she's definitely an up and coming artist, and she's very talented, and she's got some thoughtful lyrics. So maybe we'll hear some more interesting stuff from her. Well, let's move on. That was number 15. So now we'll go to number 14. We have sort of a controversial song by a country artist, Garth Brooks. Apparently, at one point back in the, I guess, early 90s, he made this song. And it comes across almost like a gospel song. But then he says a few things in there that aren't necessarily the same sentiment as the average, I don't know, country music listening, church going person. But that's okay. He's got his own, will, and he can say what he wants. And I think it actually has a lot of good message to it.
This ain't coming from no prophet, just an ordinary man. When I close my eyes, I see the way this world shall be when we all walk hand in hand. When the last child cries for a crust of bread, when the last man dies for just words that he said, when there's shelter over the poorest head, we shall be free. When the last thing we notice is the color of skin, and the first thing we look for is the beauty within, when the skies and the oceans are clean again, then we shall be free. We shall be free. We shall be free. Stand straight and walk proud, 'cause we shall be free. When we're free to love anyone we choose, when this world's big enough for all different views, when we all can worship from our own kind of pew, then we shall be free. Yeah.
Well, the gist of that song to me is where he talks about when the last person, that's poor gets a roof over their head, then that's when we will all experience freedom. I think that's kind of the message that made me include that in this list. But I mean, there's a lot of songs that kind of talk that way, but it's a little unusual to hear a country artist doing so.
Yeah.
All right, next we have a song. Actually, this artist, his name is Neil Finn. He's the lead singer for a group called Crowded House.
There is freedom within, there is freedom without. Try to catch the deluge in a paper cup. There's a battle ahead, many battles are lost, but you'll never see the end of the road while you're traveling with me. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in, they come to build a wall between us. We know they won't win. Now I'm towing my car, there's a hole in the roof. My possessions are causing me suspicion, but there's no proof. In the paper today, tales of war and waste, but you turn right over to the TV page. Hey now,
Okay, that one particular line where he says, in the paper today, tales of war and of waste, or something like that, and then it says, but she turns it right over to the TV page. This song came out in 1986, when I was your age, Luke, basically.
Yeah.
And I always thought it said, in the paper, there's, stories about wanting and waste, is what I thought he said. So I've always kind of sang it that way. And then when I was doing the research for this, I found out the lyric sites say war and of waste. So I listened to some of his live stuff, and it sounded like he says warring and waste. So I actually sent the guy a tweet, but he didn't reply. But he's still around. He still tours. He's got his son playing with him, which is kind of ironic. But anyway, what do you think he says?
I heard war and waste.
Okay. I think it would be better if it was wanting and waste, because that is sort of the big conflict, the dichotomy, or whatever you want to call it, where you got some people that are just, throwing things away because they got so much, and others that would just, love to have the slightest amount of what they're throwing away, You compare the poorest people in Africa, say, to, super rich here. So anyway, it's another song that makes you think, and I felt like that particular line was good enough to qualify us for the countdown. You like that song?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay, good. So refresh my memory. What was the line in Now by Paramore that talks about...
If there's a future, we want it now.
Oh, yeah. I think that is a great, theme that I hear in music of today's youth. They want to bring the future on, and they want it to be a future of peace. And that's something that this video is talking about. If you haven't seen it, you might want to go on YouTube and watch it. It's really a strong message. It's actually a battlefield scene, and the lead singer, what's her name?
Hayley Williams.
Hayley Williams, yeah. She sort of diffuses the battle by running toward a guy who's throwing a grenade at the end. And what she does, I'll leave it for you to watch and figure out how she sort of changes the course of the battle, you might say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat video. It really is. And she's a unique person.
She really is. She's such a great person. She, they Now was on their fourth album, self-titled Paramore. It was the same name as the band. And they just last year released After Laughter, which was their fifth album. And there was a bit of a pause because they just released their fifth album last year.
Oh, okay.
They hadn't had anything out since like 2013. And in that time, she not only really helped better herself as a person, but she also took a little bit of initiative and she started her own hair dye company. It's called Good Dye, D-Y-E, Young. And,
oh, wow.
It's great because I don't know if people listening to this are vegan. I'm not saying that to be mean, but it's a vegan hair dye, and it's vegan and cruelty free. So there's no animal testing or anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and it's founded by Hayley Williams. So.
Oh, that's good.
Don't try to take this from me. Don't try to take this from me now. Don't try to take this from me. Don't try to take this from me now. Feels like I'm waking from the dead, and everyone's been waiting on me. At least now I never have to wonder what it's like to sleep a year away. But what we indestructible, I thought that we could brave it all. I never thought that what would take
song on number 10 follows this theme of peace, and we want the future, we want it to be our own future, and we want it now. And that song is Meant to Live by Switchfoot. And
Another great song.
Yeah. And one reason I say that is that line in that song that says, we want more than the wars of our fathers.
Yep.
That is such a strong statement. I think that everyone should want that. We should want a system that helps to bring peace. And I think when we have money being created for frivolous debt and for creation of war equipment, so-called defense, bombs and smart missiles and white phosphorus and black budgets and all these things, it's a flawed system.
Yeah.
And we need money to only be created for productive growth of real businesses that empower everyone as owners and to be productive employees that own part of their company that they're working at. So I think that is a system that would get rid of the wars of our fathers. So what I would like to know is, how do we reach the people who are thinking this way? Because no one knows about our ideas in the younger age group. You got any ideas, Luke?
Just getting the people that already do listen to these podcasts and same thing. Just repost, reshare, forward it to everyone you know.
Good point. That's a very good point. Anytime we have something that you agree with, be sure to share it. Be sure to like it on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever social media you're using, so that your friends can see it and know that you're interested in it. That would be a very good start. I would like to see something like went viral.
Fumbling his confidence and wondering why the world has passed him by. Hoping that he's bent for more than arguments and failed attempts to fly. We were meant to live for so much more, and we lost ourselves. Somewhere we live inside. Somewhere we live inside. We were meant to live for so much more, and we lost ourselves. Somewhere we live inside. Dreaming about providence and whether mice and men have second tries. Maybe we've been living with our eyes half open. Maybe we're bent and broken. Oh, we were meant to live for so much more. We lost ourselves. Somewhere we live inside. Somewhere we live inside. We were meant to live for so much more. And we lost ourselves. Somewhere we live inside.
next on the list would be the Doobie Brothers, Taking It to the Streets. And that's way before your time, because that was popular when I was probably 10 years old, so that was the 70s.
You don't know me, but I'm your brother. I was raised here in this living hell. You don't know my kind in your world. Fairly soon, the time will tell. You telling me the things you're gonna do for me. I ain't blind and I don't like what I think I see. Taking it to the street. Taking it to the street. Taking it to the street. No more need for taking it to the street. Oh, no. Take this message to my brother. You will find him everywhere. Wherever people live together. Tied in poverty's despair. Are you
Wherever people live together, tied in poverty's despair.
I think one thing, it was like right at the very beginning, like the second line was like raised in this hell, and I just feel like that sort of describes the world today.
Yes, yes. And I think he's probably saying, because he says, you don't know me in your world. That's a cry from someone who lives in, like, South America or Africa, that, just raised in poverty. But I think technology is bringing the message of those people to the first world. We're the first world. That's what they call us, right? So I think the third world is able to communicate now with the first world. So that's kind of something prophetic about that song. But then the gist of the song is where it says, taking it to the streets. And that's what we need to do. We need a big mobilization of people power, because that's what really gets things done. That's what wakes up the politicians, or it causes enough people to realize that we need to get rid of the whole system that we have and start a new one. And, I don't say get rid of the United States Constitution, but maybe everything after that has become twisted. Maybe we need to, get rid of everything after that. So you might see some real significant change in your lifetime if we don't see it in mine, Luke. But you're living in a very fascinating time, and what's going to happen in the next 50 years or so.
Yeah.
Technology and people getting educated. There's so much information out there. And there's a lot that I have left to learn. I would like to, learn more about different economic theories, and especially as it relates to technology. There's a lot of different, philosophies out there. And futurists talk about things that I would like to learn about. So then we go to one that I put, If I Could by Seal. And I found out because of YouTube that another 70s artist, Joni Mitchell, is on that song, which I never really knew. But after YouTube mentioned that, I started listening closely, and I can hear her voice too. That's number 33 on the YouTube playlist.
Yes.
Play a minute of that.
'Cause I've seen something that's gonna change our time. If I could, I'd make you understand. If I could,
All right, you get the gist of that one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I don't know what he's talking about specifically when he wrote that, but it's a pretty clear message. You know, just straight out what it says. I've heard he's a strong Christian, so maybe he's talking about the rapture. We have some members of the Just Third Way who believe that an economic transformation will come with a spiritual transformation, and that it will be sort of heaven's reign on earth. And one word that might be used for that is jubilee. So maybe Seal thinks that something like that is possible. Any other thoughts?
No?
Okay, that's a beautiful song. I encourage everyone to listen to it. The next one goes straight away from anything spiritual to the one song that I'm leaving the not clean version of because it makes a pretty strong point. There's other songs that I've put the clean version on where there's pretty much no curse words. But this one, I'm not going to say the name of it because there is a curse word even in the name of it. It's just that it is so strong in making a statement.
Lord have mercy. I can't get ahead, no, I'll try. Everything is out of pocket. Somebody do something. The present situation is abstract. Ow, listen. Oh, yeah. Listen. Working 40 hours, 6 long days, and I'm highly embarrassed every time I get my pay. And they're working everybody, Lord, they're working poor folks to death. When you pay your rent and your car note, you ain't got a damn thing left. Ain't that a bitch? Oh yeah, somebody doing something slick. Get it all? Listen. Got me wondering which is which. Might as well go out China, dig a ditch. Ain't that a bitch? Oh yeah. Ain't that a bitch?
And the best line in it to me is where he says, basically, he's been talking about how there's economic problems that make it hard to just be a working man and pay the bills. And he says, sure is something slick going on. And I think that that is interesting that someone recognized that and put it in a song, because there is something slick going on. And that is the whole way that the money and banking system is set up. So this song, to me, has to be in a top 20. What do you think about it? Any thoughts?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's an interesting song. The guy is actually very talented. He's a good performer. He's got brass backing him up and all kind of stuff. I wish I had like a high quality digital version of his music.
Let it down for me. Oh, my goodness. Listen to this. Stopped at the supermarket to get myself something to eat. And when I looked at the prices, they knocked me off of my feet. I was in the bologna section, and I had to take myself a close look. Now, Abdul-Jabbar couldn't have made these prices with a sky hook. Ain't that a bitch? Yes, it is. Somebody doing something slick. Yeah, they are. Listen. Got me wondering which is which. When you want to go out China and dig a ditch. Ain't that a bitch?
So then after that, we go to a song that is basically about the difficulty of being a low-earning worker. And it's talking about how someone worked on a mine, probably, manual equipment or running a jackhammer or whatever. It's by an artist from also the 80s, Midnight Oil, and it's called Blue Sky Mine. it's about workers probably in Indonesia or India, places that are somewhat near to Australia, because that's where the band is from. And that artist that wrote the song is talking about how these people gave their life to the company. Kind of like Tennessee Ernie Ford and the 16 Tons. I could have put that on here too. But man, that song is old and poor quality. It's almost torture to listen to it, but it's the same kind of thing. So here we go with Blue Sky Mine by Midnight Oil.
Up and broken. My life that is lived is no more than a token. Who strike the flint upon the stone and tell me why? If I yell out at night, there's a reply of blue silence. The screen is no comfort, I can't speak my sentence. They blew the lights at heaven's gate, and I don't know why. But if I work all day on the blue sky mine, there'll be food on the table tonight. Still I walk up and down on the blue sky mine. There'll be pay in your pocket tonight. The candy store hoppers lie to the shareholders. They're crossing their fingers, they pay the truth makers. The balance sheet is breaking up the sky. So I'm caught at the junction, still waiting for medicine. The sweat of my brow keeps on feeding the engine. Hope the crumbs in my pocket can keep me for another night.
All right, and then we have number 6, getting on down on the countdown. And this is a group that I believe you have seen live, haven't you, Luke? Seems like we went to a Family Force 5 concert.
Oh, yes. I have
One
seen
time.
him live. God, that was how
Yeah.
many years ago?
That was a long time ago. You were real
It
young.
really was.
That was at Center Stage in Atlanta, which is a pretty
Stage.
neat place.
Yep.
And I thought they were very high energy, put on a great show. Do you remember anything about it? It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was Breathe Carolina was one of the openers, and then Cash Cash was there, and then Family Force 5. But I think
That's
also,
right. That's right. And I remember Family Force 5 came out wearing like football uniforms or something. It's
Yeah,
like,
I
what
remember
are
they
these?
had like that giant like cube on stage, and it was like a vending machine almost, and it was like they would press buttons, and it would like pop out the songs that they were gonna do next.
Right, right. They
But
are
that's
really creative.
all I remember.
I really like these guys. I listen to them a lot, and they're not my favorite genre of music because I kind of like people who sort of have, I guess, analog instruments that are, well amplified, where you could play softly or loudly and it would make a difference, as opposed to just like a computer triggering noises and stuff, which is more like what they do. But at the same time, like I say, they're really talented, creative, and they started out as a Christian band on a Christian label. So they, are grounded in good principles and stuff like that. And this song is called Paycheck.
Broke is a joke. Thinking about moving back in with my folks. Walked away from my house, no. Watch my bank account go up in smoke. In a mess with the IRS. Still watching my movies on the VHS. God bless America. I'm a gangster thanks to y'all. I should have been a baller, shot caller.
He talks about living like from paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, and he says, I'm broke as a joke, thinking about moving back in with my folks.
Yeah.
In a mess with the IRS, still watching my movies on a VHS. God bless America. I'm a gangster, thanks to ya. So that has to be pretty high on my list. I'm sorry.
His car gets towed.
Yeah.
He goes back to the junkyard and they're playing on like old cans as the drum set and everything.
Yeah, and a CB radio is the microphone. Like an old broken CB.
Yeah.
Funny. It actually reminds me of a couple of months ago, my oldest son, James, had been living in Seattle. And I flew up there to drive back. He was moving back home. And I got to see a lot of Seattle that I've never seen before. And also Portland, Oregon. We went there and stopped in a couple of places. And there are a lot of people there living in their cars and, you know, makeshift campers and even tents. There's actually, you know, tent cities set up. And a lot of people don't realize that's going on in this country today. And it's ironic because, you know, that's the place where there's so many successful, you know, tech companies and now a real high minimum wage. And yet you've got this, you know, huge, just really poverty class there. So it's really something. It's what this video reminds me of. So
it's pretty groovy.
Yeah, it's a good, catchy song, that's for sure. And then we're gonna go to Fly Like an Eagle.
Slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping into the future. I wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want to fly like an eagle till I'm free. I go through the revolution, feed the babies who don't have enough to eat. Shoe the children with no shoes on their feet. How's the people living in the street? Oh, there's a solution.
You might remember that song, though, from the Space Jam soundtrack.
Yeah, I remember it, and I've heard it, but the version that I grew up listening to wasn't as clear, so I never realized that song had anything to do with, like, the government or anything.
Right. Yeah, the version that you're familiar with is by the artist that did that If I Could song earlier, Seal. And
Yeah.
he has a pretty high energy version of that song. But I think one reason he remade it and one reason it's lasted in popularity through the years is it does have a good message. It's, you know, we can solve things just by, you know, putting shoes on the feet of people who don't have shoes. I mean, it's pretty simple, you know. Some of our problems, they seem complicated, but it's like, all right, let's just do these things, you know. Alrighty, so then we have another 1,000-Foot Crutch song. Let's listen to a few seconds of that.
Hold on for a second. If words can be weapons, then what I say can affect it. They're not just words on a record, and I can choose to respect it or choose to infect it. But once it hits the water, it's too late to be selective. Cause one voice is enough to make sleeping giants wake up, to make armies put their hands up and watch whole nations stand up. It's one belief, one spark, one one restart. We can reboot the whole chart before it all falls apart. So stand up, shout it out, and put them in the air if you like it loud. We only got one shot, so let's make it count. It's a takedown, nobody can stop us now. Stand up, shout it out, sing it loud so the world can't drown us out. And before we depart, let's leave a mark, 'cause light shines brighter in the dark. When we scream, our lips don't make a sound. We march with feet on solid ground. We walk when no one wants to go on this untraveled road.
It's a pretty good song, huh?
Yeah.
I think so too. I'm surprised that I'd never really heard it before until I started sort of listening to other Thousand Foot Crutch songs, because I liked that one, Light Up the Sky, and I ran across this one. And man, that is motivational to get large numbers of people to act, I think. That's why it's so high up on the list. We ought to go to one of their concerts.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I think they're from Canada. A lot of good groups from Canada and Australia. And there is one on the list coming up next from Australia. From way back when. Another one from the 80s. In excess.
So your time has gone. Children, watch the fools. Don't let anyone tell you what you must do. Do you like what you see? But does it make you cry? Use your imagination. Start a fire. Hear that sound? There's a voice to be found. Making changes go round. Hear that sound? And my selfish ways disappeared one day. With the realization of a new way, images are free, coming into view. Our hearts full of promises of all we can do. Hear that sound?
Man, I love that song. What is your impression of that? Have you ever listened to that one before?
No. I think the only INXS song that you ever showed me was Disappear.
Oh, okay. Well, what do you think about that song?
It was groovy.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. I think that right there, when I first, I don't know, got into this movement, I thought that could be our theme song, but I don't want to be one to declare what is our theme song. But these right here, these top three, man, really, really relate to what we're doing. And I hope that people can get a little motivation from them anytime they're feeling like, maybe something's not going their way with the work that we're doing. Just remember, there's some music out there that can at least make you think the general feeling in people's hearts sort of, can bring people together, because a lot of people feel this way. I think these rock stars, some of them got to where they are because they're pretty deep, introspective people, and they brought sort of thoughts of higher things to the forefront. A lot of these guys meditate. I think meditation is something that everyone should do, whether it's Christian prayer or, whatever their path to spirituality is, really opens your mind. And I've heard this Michael Hutchence, lead singer and writer of a lot of the songs, was into that kind of thing, meditation. I think they were kind of secular, kind of humanist, which is not the way I think, but there's a lot of wisdom that comes with introspection and reflection and, just getting quiet and alone by yourself and, just being still and thinking. And in my case, I try to hear whatever thoughts I believe the Creator has given to me. So, what do you think, Luke? Do you know anyone that's really taken that path? I guess in our culture, mostly people you're exposed to are Christians that talk about that kind of thing, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I try to spend a good time alone to just think about stuff too sometimes.
Oh, that's good. I encourage
Peaceful.
you to. There's a lot of wisdom in the Bible about that, Psalms, things like that, Proverbs. A lot of Jewish people that don't even believe in Jesus Christ think about those things. They study those same texts. So things have been going on for millennia, centuries. I was going to say briefly that the rest of the songs, oh, actually, the next one is secular, but then the top one, while we're talking about Christianity, the top one is very Christian, and it's a message really that's more of a Christian message. But I hope that anyone, can find some strength in the song that talks about Jesus Christ and, without being offended by it or whatever. I'm not trying to push that on someone that doesn't want to hear it, but that's personally where I'm at. So anyway, the next song I think is also kind of secular humanist.
Paranoia is in bloom, the PR transmissions will resume. Now try to push drugs to keep us all down and hope that we will never see the truth around. Another promise, another scene, a package like to keep us trapped in greed. All green belts wrapped around our minds, and endless red tape to keep the truth confined.
All right, so the line from that song that makes it so high on the chart for me is another promise, another scene, another packaged lie to keep us trapped in greed with all the green belts wrapped around our minds and endless red tape to keep the truth confined. The green belts, obviously, that's dollars, right?
Yeah.
I think so. And then red tape to keep the truth confined. That's just all the bureaucracy that we have to constantly deal with. It keeps us from finding out what's really going on. So that right there, whew, boy, that has a lot of meaning. You like Muse? Yeah, I do too.
Not really a huge fan of them. I've only heard a couple of their songs. They don't seem that great to me.
What is that song that they had one that I really liked? It was like
Madness.
Oh yeah, that was it. That was right. Exactly. I love that song. All right, so we're almost through. So let's go to number 1, and this is SOG Crew Revolution. And the reason for me that this one is number 1 on Just Third Way Evocative Music, as chosen by Dave Hamill, is because I know these guys. They've been to our rallies. They have our actual solution in their hearts. And so when they sing about change, they're actually singing about the kind of change that we're talking about. Dr. Robert Ornelas actually is a preacher. He is a politician, and he ran for governor in the state of California on the American Independent Party ticket. So he has participated in our rallies, and his son is one of the rappers who was there. And also DJ Siren, a female singer and DJ that plays the actual backup music while they rap and sing. So they know us and we know them, and we're honored to have them in our movement. And we ask for everyone to support their work and enjoy their music. And so with that, I will go ahead and play that song, and then we'll wrap it up.
We in an all-out war, we against the world. Walls coming down, yo, we against the world. Who's ready for a revolution? Got my rhymes in my gun representing the sun. Warriors, come out and play. Yo, my king's coming through, your best make way. You say, I can't penetrate them streets, but I'm coming with Jehovah in these hip-hop beats. I can feel the heat running through the back street. Enemy will knock me down, but I get back on my feet. Man, on a mission all the way to that cross. Haters all around, but I'm down for the cost, and I'm that spark. Pulling my dogs from the dark. We them priests from the hood coming through with the ark. Who in the heat of the battle can't stand flakes or snakes. I'm a 5-star general who learned from mistakes. I mean, Killer Cali, modern day Vietnam. I drop the bomb, then I scream shalom. Keep the people that have been bound up, let's make a stand. Last days close at hand, let's rock this land. Who's ready for a revolution? Are you ready for a revolution? Who's ready for a revolution?
I'm ready for a revolution.
Who's ready for a revolution? Are you ready for a revolution? Who's ready for a revolution?
I'm ready for a revolution. What exactly do you expect? This is not a test, this is a reality check. People asking me, what is the news and resolution? It's to get on my crew and to have a revolution. I take it to kill for all of this pollution. Jesus, the only solution. Let your kingdom come, let your will be done. I don't know about you, but I want a revolution. I throw my Bible up, cause my Bible's my constitution. The word of God is what I stand on. It's the only thing that makes me stand strong. So every hour I get, I devour it. So I begin to walk in this fine line with the state of mind that is all mine. You're my life for God, you're my live for soul. So when the rapture comes to pass, I'll be ready to roll out, roll out, roll out.
Who's ready for a revolution? Are you ready for a revolution? Who's ready for a revolution?
I'm ready for a revolution.
Who's ready for a revolution? Are you ready for a revolution? Who's ready for a revolution?
I'm ready for a revolution.
Revolution, yeah, it's time for a change. We're coming at ya in Jesus' name to tell the nonsense of madness. The devil got you down, but the SOG crew is on the hound. Time to get mine. Shine's coming like a renegade with full force. Of course, we're mobbing. Holy Ghost stopping, it's popping, and demon dropping. It's a stampede, and all the demons bleed. Don't come at me with some greed, oh please. With Christ, we got ease. We rise from that ground with the Holy Ghost sound from the dust, just like Lazarus. This your hope, we come strapped with the word from the throne of the Most High. Oh my, you know it's El Shaddai, and never leave you, no forsake ya. Trial's gonna make or break you, give it up to the Holy Father. Demon try to mess and chest, but I'm blessed.
Who's ready for a revolution? Are you ready for a revolution? Who's ready for a revolution?
I'm ready for a revolution.
Who's ready for a revolution? Are you ready?
Well, what do you think about that one?
That was another groovy song.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. They obviously are very strong Christians. They're spreading the word of the Lord, that's for sure. I think the general attitude of, let's get everyone together and fight and have a revolution, that is definitely worthy of, theme song for any movement that's doing good. So that's why I put it on there. So, hey, I really appreciate you suffering through this whole list with me, Luke, participating with the project with Dad, and any other help that you can ever give on editing podcasts and things like that. That's about it then. So I will tell everyone thanks for tuning in, and join us again next time, and own or be owned.
Change all humanity, born to change the whole world, baby, don't be mad at me. I'm from these streets too, I feel your pain, if you lose it, I'll get up and